Creating AI videos is easier than ever, but making videos that really look like you is hard. That's why today I'm going to break down the exact workflow I've used to put myself into a high-action scene without any morphing or losing the consistency. From building one consistent version of yourself to generating these cinematic scenes, all the way to the final edit. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to make AI videos with your own face that stay locked in across every shot. So the first step in the entire workflow is building a character that actually looks like you. For this, I'm going to be using OpenArt, as they just added the new GPT image model. And on top of that, I also get access to Seedance too. So this means the entire workflow is going to take place inside the same platform. So once we're inside, let's head over to the character section and click Create Character. Then we're going to be using the first option called Start from an image. And here you want to include as many images of yourself as possible. So what I did was take a few photos of my face from different angles. Now one thing you need to make sure of is that your background is clean and the lighting is neutral, so the AI can pick up all the details from your face. And you should also avoid wearing glasses or any other facial accessories you don't want your character to have inside the video. So for this example, I'm going to upload 3 different images of myself and name the character Yuri. Next, you can add a background story, but I'll leave it blank for now. So now I'll click Create and wait a few seconds. Once your character is ready, let's create the first image. I'll start by generating a reference image for the video, with my character holding a katana in full samurai gear. And once that's done, I'll bring it into Seedance to animate. For this, let's head over to the image section. And the first thing we're going to do is choose the model. Like I mentioned at the start, I'm going with the new GPT image 2, because right now it's the best option for photorealistic images. And honestly, if you've used Nano Banana Pro before, this model feels way better. So once that's selected, go to the reference section and click on characters, so we can find the one we just built. Let's select it. And as you can see, it now appears right above the prompt box, which means the AI now knows exactly which character we want to use, and it'll pull that character directly into the generation. So here's the prompt I'm going to use for the first reference image. And there's one thing you need to be really careful with here. Make sure you use the @ symbol before the character's name inside the prompt. This tells the model exactly who to include, and it anchors all the facial details to that specific character. Without it, the AI will start guessing what you meant, and the moment it starts guessing, you lose all the consistency we just built. For the ratio, I'm going with 16:9 because I want this to feel like a cinematic scene. Then, for the quality, this model gives you 3 options: low, medium, and high. If you just want to test ideas for the cheapest price, you can go with low. Medium gives you a solid balance between speed and quality. But since I want the best possible reference image for the video, I'm going with high. And for the number of images, you can generate up to 4 at once, but I'm going to keep it at 1 for now. And now let's click Generate. Here's what we get back. Honestly, this is really surprising. If we zoom in, you can clearly see that it looks exactly like me. The AI kept the character fully intact while changing the entire environment and also the outfit. So at this point, I'm going to save it and move on to the second reference image. But before we do that, we actually need to create the second character. And for this one, I'm going to take a different approach. GPT Image 2 is so strong when it comes to photorealism that you can actually skip the separate character building step and still get a great result with just a simple prompt. And the trick I've been using for this is to add the word photorealistic directly inside the prompt. It sounds like a really small change, but the difference it makes is honestly crazy. This one alone pushes the model much harder toward realism, and the output starts looking like it came from a real camera instead of an AI generator. And the funny part is that I actually found this by accident. I was testing different prompts side by side when I started to notice that the only thing separating a really great result from a decent one was just this word. But let's now describe the second character in full detail directly inside the prompt and let GPT Image build it from scratch. And here's what we get back. It's honestly crazy how clean this looks, especially when you know the model pulled it off without any character reference at all. If we zoom into the face, even the skin texture feels like a real photo. So now both characters are ready, but the video still needs an actual location for our action. So let's go ahead and build one. And the key thing here is that the style of this location has to match the 2 characters we just created. Otherwise, the whole scene starts to feel disconnected, like the characters and the environment don't actually belong in the same world. But here's the good part. Instead of writing the whole prompt from scratch and trying to guess which words will keep everything consistent, there's a much easier way to do this. And for that, we're actually going to step outside of OpenArt for a second and head over to Claude. Once we're inside, the first thing I do is upload the 2 reference images I just generated. The first one is my image, and the second one is the gunman. Then I tell Claude exactly what kind of location I want, which in this case is a traditional Japanese dojo. But the most important part is this. I also tell Claude to keep the exact same visual style as the reference images I just uploaded. And here's what Claude gives me back. It reads all the visual cues from those two reference images and turns them into a full location prompt that already matches the cinematic Japanese style we've built so far. So instead of me trying to describe the lighting, the color palette, and the mood myself, Claude pulls all of that directly from the images I just uploaded. And it gives me a prompt that already knows exactly what tone the location should hit. So now I'm going to copy that prompt, head back into OpenArt, and paste it into the image section. This time, I'm removing the character reference from before, because for the location, we don't need any character attached to it. For the ratio, I'm still going with 16:9 because I wanted to match the cinematic frame of the character images. And for the quality, I'm going with high again, because this is the image every video clip is going to reference later on. So now let's click generate, and here's what we get back. The polished floor reflects the warm sunlight coming through the shoji screens on one side of the room, which instantly gives the space the cinematic depth we need for our character. And if we zoom in, you can even see the dust particles floating through the light. And that's exactly the kind of detail that tricks your brain into feeling like this was a real photo instead of something generated by AI. And the last thing I want to point out is the composition, because instead of filling the frame with random objects, the dojo stays very minimal. And that emptiness is actually what gives it that clean, professional, cinematic feel you usually see in real action films. So with these reference images ready, let's bring them into Seedance and animate the entire scene. For this, we need to head over to the video section and then click on text with reference. This is where we choose the AI model. OpenArt gives us a few really solid options here like Kling and VO. But for this kind of action scene, I'm going with Seedance 2. Now the first thing we're going to do is add the references. So I'm dropping in the two character images we just built, Yuri and the gunman, along with the dojo location image. And what this means is that every detail we locked in across those three references now gets carried directly into the video generation. Here's the prompt I'm using for the first scene. Now, just as I did in the previous generations, I'm using the @ symbol inside the prompt to reference each character and the location. In this way, Seedance knows exactly who goes where and who is supposed to do what. Now, for the duration, I'm going with 15 seconds, which is the longest clip Seedance can generate in one go. Then, for the resolution, I'm setting it to 1080p, and for the aspect ratio, I'm staying with 16:9 so it matches the frame of every reference image we've created so far. So now let's click generate, and here's what we get back. Honestly, this came out even better than I expected, even though the door slides open by itself at the beginning, which is something Seedance 2 still struggles with, but it's still the exact same dojo we generated before. The bright, warm light coming through the shoji screens makes the whole scene feel cinematic, but what really stands out here is the close-up on the face, because this is where you can really see how powerful the combination of GPT Image 2 and Seedance actually is. Just take a look at how similar my character's face is to mine. It looks amazing on the zoom. At that point, it basically looks like a 4K photo of my face, where you can even make out every single strand of hair in the eyebrows. So let's now move on and generate the second scene. But this time, the process is a little bit different, as we're adding one more thing. And that's a video reference of the first scene we just generated. Seedance uses it to start the new clip exactly where the last one ended. So this means that the second scene doesn't start from 0. It actually starts from the final frame of scene 1. So the movement, the character positions, and the overall mood all stay continuous. Besides the video reference, I'm keeping both the character and the location image. So now I can move on to the prompt section. But wait, I actually forgot to show you something really important, and that's how to structure a prompt effectively for Seedance so you get the best results from the first try. If you just throw everything into one huge paragraph, the model gets confused about what should happen, and the output is going to be quite bad. So here's the structure I use for every single one of these prompts. The first thing I do is split the prompt into multiple shots. For this one, I'm using 3 shots, and I label them Shot 1, Shot 2, and Shot 3 inside the prompt. This tells Seedance exactly when to switch to a new angle inside the scene. And it's one of the most important parts, because without it, the AI has to guess them itself. Then inside each shot, I describe what each character is doing using the @ symbol. And if I want a specific camera direction, like a close-up or a slow motion moment, I place it right there at the start. Then the last piece is the audio. I always give Seedance a completely separate audio section at the bottom of the prompt where I describe every sound I want inside the scene. Things like breathing, footsteps, and even the katana clashes. And the reason I do this is because Seedance treats the audio separately from the visuals. So by doing this trick, the sound actually matches what's happening on screen instead of feeling randomly thrown on top. So here's the full prompt I'm using for scene 2. The settings stay exactly the same as before, so I'll click generate. And here's what we get back. Honestly, the first thing I notice is the multi-shot. The cuts between each shot are fast and professionally timed, which makes the whole action feel way more dynamic and intense. But what really stands out is the emotional range in the face during the fight. Just look at my character at the start. He seems to be so calm. Then, the moment the fight begins, his expression shifts into something much more serious. And once the katanas start clashing, he actually becomes furious. And the crazy part is that every single one of those facial details stays locked in through the whole sequence, which is something no AI model I've tested before has been able to pull off when trying to put me inside a video. So let's use the same process for the third scene. For this, I'm adding scene 2 as the video reference and then keeping everything as it is. Here is the full prompt I'm using for this clip. And again, I've structured it the same way I did for scene 2, with multiple shots and a separate audio section at the bottom. So let's see what we get back after we generate the video. Alright, I really like this result a lot. The thing that stands out the most is the slow motion moment. Just look at how focused my character is on finishing the enemy. This whole scene feels like it was actually pulled from a real action movie. But what really ties everything together is the lighting. The warm light coming through the shoji screens gives the shot real depth and shadows, making the entire space feel cinematic. Each scene looks amazing on its own. But right now, there are 3 separate clips, and we need a way to stitch them all together into one video. So for this, I'm going to be using CapCut. So let's jump inside and drag all 3 scenes straight onto the timeline in order. From here, you can trim anything you don't like or add quick transitions between the clips. But in my case, everything already flows pretty well from scene to scene, so I'll just hit export. Now let's see the final result. Well, everything is simply perfect. The face stays exactly like mine from the first frame to the last. And on top of that, every single movement feels really smooth. You can see the weight of each strike and the way the enemy reacts, which is something most AI videos can't pull off. Honestly, this is something I've been waiting a long time to see. Every AI model I've tested before has failed at getting these things right, but this is the first workflow that's giving me results I'm actually proud of. So if you want to start creating AI videos that actually look like you, sign up to OpenArt using the link in the description below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.